All right, what's up, FFA? Hey, hopefully you guys can hear me okay. This live stream is glitching on us already, but hey, I think we're live, so hopefully you guys have me as we jump into today's call. Hey, shoot me a message in WhatsApp if you guys can hear me loud and clear. I'm gonna keep talking. If not, I'm gonna wait a second so that I'm not talking to myself on here. Hopefully y'all got me. You got me. Cool, Cassie. I appreciate you. Hey, if you guys missed that call that we did with Cassie the other day, make sure you go back and listen to it, as she had over a 9K week and just dropped a lot of tips for you guys. So make sure you go back to the channel and check it out. What an exciting weekend we're about to go into, because we are about to send you guys the production numbers for the month of June. And so many of you guys reached new records yet again. I want to know, who do you guys think the agent of the month was? Drop it in the agency chat. Who do you think took home number one last month? You will get to find out on Monday when we go over it on the call. I'm not going to spill the beans for you on today's call, but your coaches will be getting the production numbers following today's call. So you're going to get your individual AP here today. And guys, hats off to you as an agency. So many of you have been working so hard to accomplish big things, and we blew our past record as an agency out of the water, out of the park. So you guys absolutely crushed it. And just super proud of everybody for running together and for making FFA what it is. So super proud of you guys. On today's call, we're going to hear from two agents who uncovered like a $7,000 house, over $600 a month in premium. And I know so many of you have asked, like, where are these agents finding these big sales? So I wanted them to come on here and just break down their day for you. So make sure you can take some notes, because I know they're going to drop a lot of words of wisdom for you guys. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Becca and Christy. Becca, Christy, you guys are live. How are you?
Good morning.
Blur. I can kind of see you. It's like a mirage.
Christy, you're muted.
This is honestly how I look if I don't have glasses on. I do not know. Let me.
It might be like a filter, Christy. I know sometimes in this studio there's like a background filter. But hey, we can still hear you, so we're good there. But hey, that's off to you guys. I know you ran into just a huge house, over $7,000 of AP. And Becca, for your team, you guys have been on fire lately. You guys hit another record, all right, which I'm gonna let out a little bit early. Another team record last month, and you guys have just been dominating. So I'm excited to hear from both of you. So awesome. Hey, welcome to the call. But let's dive into this house. How did you guys uncover such a big sale?
I guess Becca. So we got together to go out because I'm just going to be honest. I'm not new to this, but with transition from moving a family of such a large family, I've been just in a kind of a slump. And so Becca and I got together, and we went out, and she and I, and really I've been like dive bombing at the door. And even if you're seasoned, you can still stumble. And so I've been dive bombing at the door because of habits from the old company. And so the way they taught there was very different than here. And so she's like, okay, we got out. I went to the door. I was super, his first house. And literally it just comes in belief and authority. And I guess just by myself, I've been struggling with that belief and authority, being confident of this very thing, that I'm in the right place at the right time, that I'm here to help and not just selfish. And so went to the door. She, we did the approach exactly. I think I was pretty spot on the approach. And then we came back. She was wanting to stand at the door, but she didn't really want to let us in. But then we were like, well, it's just going to take 5 minutes. So then she ends up taking us to her bedroom, because she, and so it's like, okay, well, just open that door. You know,
Like
hello, little,
legit bedroom, like right through the living room, through the kitchen. What, she just like come sit down on my bed?
yep.
But it was like right by like.
Yeah, it was right by the door, but
Yeah.
Gotcha.
but yeah, she was like, here, find a seat, and we were like, So Becca sat on her walker and I sat on her bed, and we found a seat. And
Well, that's the secret, right, Christy? If somebody walks you straight to the bedroom, you're about to have a $7,000 house.
I'm guessing so. I mean, hello, little Susie, hello. And so we just went into the presentation. I handled the presentation, and then Becca handled the numbers. And what was beautiful is her daughter lived there. And so her daughter was working from home. And so we were able to get her daughter in there. Well, then her daughter leaves and goes and calls the son, and the son comes over. So we had both of them there to go yay or nay. And so, you know, with both of them there, we were able to, and then when Becca showed them the numbers, you want to run with that one?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I do want to say something before we move on though, because I think it's important. So this house that we went to, I had gone there before and gave them my door approach, and I got shut down. But Christy, I shoved Christy. I was like, you do it this time. Hopefully they don't remember me. So follow up with the leads. Like she had no idea who I was, like did not remember anything. So I was like, shoot. But anywho, yeah, doing the presentation and then showing the numbers, like that was the hardest challenge I've ever had, to not like have my voice crack when I'm showing $600 and some dollars. I showed her like 300 to 250 because that's what she was paying. She was like, that's not enough. The daughter was like, oh, that's not enough. I said, well, can you afford more? Like, I was not used to that. That was a challenge for me. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So she had coverage like already, and then she was paying 200 to 300, but the daughter wanted more than what she had.
What was beautiful, it was a term that she had.
Okay, makes sense.
So and she knew she was in a term, so went through all the different types, and she was like, oh yeah, it's a term. And so we called New York Life, and of course let New York Life hang themselves. And so, you know, once that happened, and she was like, she thought, she goes, well, I guess I'll just turn 80 and I'll take it all out. Oh, and I'm like, oh honey, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Let me, it's going to grow wings and it's going to fly, and you're not going to have anything. It's rent assurance. You are renting your insurance. And so she, you know, she was like, oh, and at that point, I think that was the pivotal point of her saying, oh, we need to do something. But then the daughter came in, and then we had to go back through. It's like we had to sell it almost 3 times. Because we'd had the daughter come in, and then we had to explain to her what was going on. And then the son came in, and we had to explain to him and kind of recap, and both of them on board. And then we got a card and said, hey, we want to get my my wife's mother something. You know, so it just was sorry that I'm gonna have a halo up there instead.
I didn't even realize that until you just said it. Now I'm not gonna be able to stop looking at it.
Hey, angel of providence. And so we so just closed her. I was so proud of Becca in the fact that she, I mean, we were literally like little girls on the inside going, holy schmackwells, here it comes. And she's like, oh no, that's not enough. And then the mom even looks at the daughter, and she's like, well, can I afford that?
Yeah.
And the daughter was like, oh yeah, you can totally afford that. And she's like, then let's do it. And at that point, our little girls, our inner girls were going, yay.
Now, how old was this lead? How old was she?
76, 74.
74.
No,
gotcha.
no.
What
She was
kind
70.
of,
She was 70. She was in that 70 range.
Ish. I don't remember. Somewhere in there.
Something like
She
that.
she was 70. Yeah.
Did she have any health issues, or was it pretty easy?
No, she had quite the medication list.
So I'm very grateful. So the medicines that she was taking, there were some that she wasn't taking anymore, but she
Yeah.
had her doctor's summary or something. I don't know what
Mhm.
Christy was looking at. She was looking at something, but it had medicines like what were they? But she wasn't taking anymore. But I'm glad we had that sheet. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known what she had.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a medication list. It wasn't, it was just a medication list. So
For sure.
yeah.
Now, was it hard for you guys to flip the term, right? Because sometimes when people are older and they're paying for a large death benefit, then they see like the price shock from whole life. A lot of times they're like, there's a disconnect and they don't want to do it. So was that hard for you guys, or did she just go with it?
I don't think it was super hard once we let New York Life explain that
Mhm.
she wouldn't have any coverage at age 80. It was like that killed any kind of disconnect there was,
Mhm.
because she was like, "Oh, I'm not going to have anything."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
once her daughter realized that also, and it was validated by the mom, um, it was like, oh, and then we explained that a whole life was like, you were going to have ownership in it. It
Mhm.
wasn't. It was never. It was going to be locked in. It was never going to change, and that she would own that. There would be ownership built up in it. I think they really were like, okay, we can do
Mhm.
that.
Just
I
grant.
also remember saying something along the lines of if you wait until 80 to change, something might happen to your health
Yeah,
between
you did.
now and then. And if you wait until then, the best product for you might be a 2-year wait. So then you're
And
80 and you don't have any coverage for the next 2 years. That's the worst thing. That's not what you're looking for.
Right.
Versus now you still qualify for day one coverage. That might not be the same case 5 years from now or whatever, however old she was.
And the daughter was very specific in saying, "Oh no, that won't do."
Mhm.
So this was definitely one of those situations where I asked, what matters more to you, the amount of coverage or the monthly premium? And they cared way more about the amount of coverage than the monthly premium. Because Christy, what's that word? Starts with an E. Examination.
Exhuming.
Exhuming.
So the daughter had stated that she's like, it will be a burial. Dad is already buried there. If we can get mom close to him, great. If we can't, we will exhume his body and get them into a place where that is. So I Googled, how much does it cost to exhume a body?
I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of that word. So that's interesting. So what, that's just basically digging him up and moving
Digging him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they exhumed, if they were going to do that, it was going to be between 8 and 20,000. And here's
Wow.
what the daughter had said: I've already looked into it.
Yeah.
Like she already knew the
Wow.
exorbitant amount that it was going to cost. And so
Mhm.
she was like, I am not going to just do this half-heartedly. This is going to be done right, and
Yeah.
mom and dad will be together, and I'm like, okay, well, if she's determined, all
Mhm.
righty.
Hey,
So
hats off to that daughter, right? Because sometimes kids like block the sale because they're like, oh, I don't need to worry about that. That's so far in the future. But for her to be prepared like that's huge. What do you guys think? Like when you walked up to this house, right? Was it like a massive house? Like they looked like they were going to have a bunch of money to pay insurance with? Like, what's the situation, right? Because I know a lot of agents are like, how did you find somebody in their 70s willing to pay $600 a month for insurance,
I think she lived with their daughter. I think it was the daughter's house. Actually, they went in on the house together, but I don't think she pays any of the bills. Like she doesn't pay for anything. Like she doesn't pay for the car. The daughter made that very well known. She's like, you don't pay for anything. So
yeah.
It wasn't low-lying fruit.
Mhm.
Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's key. A lot of agents get intimidated with houses like that. I remember when I was probably a year into this, I had gotten a final expense lead. It was an age lead. I think I paid like $6. And I go up to this house and it is an absolute mansion of a house, and most houses we go to aren't like that. But this house was probably close to 8,000 square feet. Landscaping's all done. Like it was like very nice house. I'm like, well, I'm going to look like a fool going to door knock this for burial insurance policy, but I'm gonna do it anyway, right? And same situation. The lead was the mother who was living with the kids, and it was the same thing. They want insurance for, I think, it wasn't a $600 a month, right? But I think I sold like a $200 a month premium there, and they were the nicest people ever. So just everyone listening to this, you can't stereotype the house that your lead's in, right? Because you just never know if they're going to be nice, mean, or what they could, how important the insurance is for them. So hey, I want to pivot because you guys have both been doing this for a while now. What do you think? Why did agents struggle at the door, right? Christy, I know you were talking about earlier how you were like working on your door approach, then you kind of overcame it when Becca was riding with you, kind of coaching with you there. But for an agent who's like in that spot right now, they're just struggling getting in front of people. A lot of people are telling them, hey, not interested, take me off the list. Like, what can they do to just get in more presentations?
And I tell myself this every day. I mean, it's not a one and done. It's a, you really have to, here I'm going to go preach, and I'm going to preach to myself. You have to go and you have to go and put the pressure on the numbers. Just knock the doors, take the no's. Don't take it personally. If they're a crab apple, they're a crab apple. They were a crab apple before you knock the door. They're going to be a crab apple after you leave. And they're just not happy. And your job is just to bring a smile to their face if you can. And that's the key. If you can bring a smile into their face in the first, few seconds, then you're probably going to win an entry. But if you don't, then you're not, and you just move on and you don't take it personally. My devotion this morning was about growth and the fact that, I was sitting there listening to it and thinking, oh my gosh, growth, and I was like, well, I was starting to kind of journal a little bit about, I've always placed myself in places where I had to grow. And I'm like, wait a minute, I hadn't placed myself in that, because that's not humanly something that we go and do. It's like, oh, let me grow. It's really something that God does, and he places you to grow. And so if you're in that growth place, that's hard. I mean, a flower goes through a whole lot of crap to get to the top to become a beautiful flower. And so you just have to be willing to put the work in, put the work in and grow. And I think my favorite animated movie, and maybe not my favorite animated movie, but my favorite message in an animated movie is from Meet the Robinsons. Keep moving forward. If you can keep moving forward, then you can win. But if you stop and you stalemate, you're going to lose.
That's key. I love that tip, Christy. What about you, Becca? But I don't think you ever get told no at the door, do you?
Oh, I do. That's the house that I had before I got told no, which I think is so funny. I think that's so funny.
I think it's awesome that you went back there. Like I'm not laugh. If that was me, I'm like, they already told me no. I'll probably go to the next one. But no, for you guys to go back there, that's awesome.
Yeah, I made Christy do it. I think a mistake a lot of new agents make whenever it comes to the door is they're asking for the client to let them in. They're asking for permission at the door. Like, they want the client to want them inside, but no, you have to be assertive. You have to tell them, hey, I'm here to do this. Like, you have to believe in yourself that you are there for a purpose. They requested information. You're just the happy delivery box that goes to deliver it to them. And I think the biggest thing that definitely helped Christy on whatever day it was is I'm going to go back to my car and turn it off, and I'm going to be right back. I promise that it works. Christy went 2 for 2 on the day we went out together.
Well, we went to that first house and we boomed, and then we went to the second house and I bombed. I did my hello, and then we went to the third house. Of course, that was low-lying fruit, and I bombed in low-lying fruit. And then we went to the third house, and I did the exact door approach, and we got in. And so it was, I was like, okay, I'm a believer.
She had to do it the wrong way a couple of times and get shut down. And then when she was like, I'm gonna go turn my car off, those are when she realized that it worked. So I definitely recommend making sure that believing in yourself that you're supposed to be there, and go turn your car off, go grab your binder, leave them stunned at the door, and you'll be right back.
Yeah, it really does work. I think a lot of agents are like, well, that's just awkward. I'm not just going to do that. But think about if you're the delivery guy or girl for Amazon and you walk up, right, ring the doorbell, then walk back and get the package. That people are always doing that. And it does work. Like if you just stand there with an awkward pause, waiting for them to be like, do you want to come in? They're never going to do that. So you have to be assertive, like Becca was saying. So I love that tip. What about this one, guys? So how do you walk an agent through, like, what are the steps when you're replacing a policy? So you replace that lady's term insurance. I think making the sale is one thing, but one thing I know you guys are both very good at is taking care of your clients, making sure like, your forms are done. Walk an agent through, like, what's the next steps? They replace the policy. What do they do after that as far as actually making sure, the draft gets stopped, the cancellations in? Can you walk them through your guys' process with like your back end and following up on that stuff?
I was hoping Becca would take that.
We might have lost her.
No, I'm not. No, I usually, like yesterday, I had a lady virtually that was one of my clients, and I was trying to help her. And had I been able to help her get out of a wait and into a day one, we were going to call immediately and go ahead and have it taken off draft. And I think that probably is one of the most important things. I think everything else kind of begins to work itself out. But if you don't take that payment off draft, then your name's gonna be mud. And so I make sure that I help them take it off draft, reassure them that they are still covered. If something were to happen in the next 30 to 60, they're going to still be there, and they're still going to have coverage, but they're not going to pay that because we've got them something better. And then I go and review it again. This is what we got for you. This is what, and then this is what you had, and this is what we're doing. So I have them call and have them take it off draft. And then if the people on the other line, the companies ask, they always ask, may we ask why you're doing this? And I just tell them it's for personal reasons. They don't need to know your business. You're not trying to make best friends with them. It's personal reasons, and move on. And but that draft is super important as far as once making sure that everything is done. I love e-apps. When I started with paper apps, and that was a bear in itself.
Yes,
it was. I learned how to do paper apps very, very well. And so for me, I am not the detail. She's the detail. I'm not the detail. I am the fun. Let's have a good time. So I have to focus. I used to clean houses, and I tell my people, hey, look, I clean in rounds. If I don't get something this time, I will next time. If you see it, just let me know and I'll grab it. But it's not because, I'm like the most detailed of person, but I do a good job. So I'm, I make sure that draft is taken off, and then do my follow-ups.
Yeah, that's key. That draft is a big one. When I was brand new, and then there was a few times I forgot the whole sending the stop draft form or call and stop that draft, and then they get double charged, and it's hard to come back from that. You could have had the best presentation, but they get double charged that next month. It's totally your fault, and then it's hard to keep it after that point. But what about you, Becca? Becca, question for you: how do you make sure your clients make their payments and keep the policy, right? Like, I know you get some chargebacks here or there, but your persistency is great for what you write. So what do you think? How do you get them to keep the policy after you write it?
One, I make sure that it fits into the budget. That's always a question. But I always make sure that the payment, it matches their Social Security, right? Or that's 90% of the time, right? So I make sure that it matches when they get paid. I think that's important. But also reminding them, like whenever I leave them with that summary sheet to remind them how much it is, because sometimes they don't know how much it is, the amount and the face amount. And then I'll look. So like if I get an email saying that the payment didn't go through for whatever reason, I'll go back by or I'll call them since I work the same area. It's not out of my way. I'll go back by and call them, see what's going on. I've had people switch banks between the time I helped them and by the time they made the first payment. So it wasn't that they didn't want the insurance. They just had a banking issue that we didn't see at the time of application. And that just has to go back with my relationship with them. I'm not scared of talking with them. I'm there to truly help them. Right. And I have to think I'm another face of the company. The company is not going to call them or run by there, hey, your payment didn't go through. The company is not going to do that. So that's why I do.
It's such a good tip. I think staying on top of those drafts, it used to intimidate me. As a new agent, I had to get that missed draft. I'm like, all right, they're gone. I got to go write a new one to make up for the chargeback. I wouldn't even call them because I was a chicken, But then once I realized, like, hey, Miss Betty, you missed your draft. 99% of the time, they're like, oh my God, I totally forgot that payment was coming out. Okay, take it out next week, So such a good tip.
I do want to add one more thing about the draft. If you have iPhone, I don't know about the Android, but there is an app thing on your iPhone that allows you to set up a reoccurring message to your clients, reminding them of their payment coming out. I've got a lady that she's the only one that really wants it. She was like, I want you to text me every single month to remind me. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Y'all think I'm organized. I'm not that organized. And my phone automatically sends it to her on like the second of each month or something. So
nobody tell her that's organization.
Yeah. Right. That's too funny. Hey, that's awesome.
One of the things that I also do is I kind of believe, like, I talk a lot with Kay. I love Kay. And I kind of like, I like to be a one and done. So I have to force myself a lot of times to, like, I've been forcing myself to go back through my book of business and talk with people and just check up well on them and say, hey, and but when I do get those messages that they've missed a draft, I will send them a text, hey, or I'll just send them a text, hey, how you doing? And then see if they answer, and then I'll be like, hey, I got a message that there was a speed bump at your bank with your policy, how can I serve you? And they're like, oh, and then ones that blow me off, then I'm like you, Ryan. I'm like, yeah, let's go write something to cover that sucker.
Yeah. Usually those ones, they're going to miss it when you write it too. You're like, I don't know if she's going to keep it. Maybe she's going to keep it, but. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes, and fortunately, I'm in a place where most of the ones that are coming, that if they're coming through, they're a couple of years old now.
Yeah, they want it for sure.
Yeah, so or they've moved or something's happened, and I'm not getting them, like they're not getting their text, or and so, but I just reach out to them through text first usually. And then some of them, if I have a really great relationship with them, I'll be like, hey, baby, what's going on? You got a draft that didn't go through. Are you all right? Or and sometimes if they are close to death's door and they are trailing dust, I'm like, hey, you okay?
Yeah. For sure.
So.
No, that's the worst. I actually had a client like that one time. They when I wrote her, she had brain cancer, and I wrote it because she really wanted insurance. Had to be a 2-year wait, guaranteed issue plan, right? And she made it through the whole 2 years. She was only expected to live like 6 months, but I wrote it because she really wanted it. She made it the whole through 2 years, and then like at 2.5 years, she kept missing her payment, and every single month I would call in. I actually wrote her with Gerber, like long when I used to write Gerber a lot, and every month we'd call in, she'd make her payment. She passed. She ended up living like 3.5 years, then she passed. But had I not followed up with that money would have been gone because she just didn't know, with her draft. So I love that phrase too, Christy, speed bump. That's like a gentle way of putting like, hey, you missed your draft payment. So I like how you phrase that. Awesome way. What's a closing tip, you guys? You guys are both crushing it. Becca, your team Rise, another record month last month, which I'm gonna go over on Monday's call. But Christy, same thing for you, Christy. I don't know if you know this or not, but you were the top annuity writer all of last month at FFA. You did over like $300,000 in annuities, so you took home that title. But what's a closing tip? An agent that wants to find success. You guys have been doing this for years now. How do they find it?
Just keep moving forward. I mean, you can get in your, I could not do this without Jesus. I couldn't, because he says not to be, don't be weary in well doing. And man, you can get tired. You can get real tired. I have lots pulling on me. I have one in college. I have 8 children. We just had our first grandbaby. I have one in college. He's home for the summer. I have a senior this year. And then I've got 4 others underneath them. My youngest is 7. And let me tell you, my heartstrings pull every time they're like, do you have to work today? And, because especially being summer, I cannot wait for school.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm still going to have 2 of them 3 days a week, because we do a university model. I was a homeschooling mom for 20 years, so you've got to be intentional, moving forward in some way. I love the fact that Becca calls and she says, okay, what was your win today? And sometimes wins are hard to see. When days are hard, when you've met Mr. the Mr. Grinch, Mr. and Mrs. Grinch at the door a couple of times in a row. I mean, the other day I was out and I met 2 ugly men. They were ugly before I met them. But 2 ugly men. And then I was driving down the road, and literally I was close to tears. And getting in my head. And a woman was out watering her lawn, and she smiled real big at me. And I kept moving, and I smiled and waved, and I kept moving forward, and then I backed up. I literally reversed and drove backwards down the road to her house, parked, and got out, and I went and handed her my card. She could barely speak English, but she could speak enough to know. I said, thank you for your smile. I said, I met 2 ugly men, and I just want you to know I appreciated you being kind. And she hugged me, and she looked at me and she says, you are a special lady. You are a gift. And don't forget that. And it was like, who needs glasses to be blurry? And she just, not me, says I. And she, and that just, that, I asked her, I said, do you have life insurance? And she was like, no. And I just knew that wasn't the moment, but
Sure.
I handed her my card, and she hugged me again, and she was like, you have a good day. And I went, thank you. And I got in my car and I drove away, and it was better. She was my mama at that moment. I needed my mama, and she was my mama at the moment, just giving me the hug that I needed. And that was the moment where it was like, that was a divine moment. So it was, I don't fart AP, but I get out there and I work. And so, I'm, and it's coming. I'm gonna have some major gas soon, and it's gonna propel me forward. But, it's just, you just keep moving forward. You get into the grind, and you move forward, and you keep going, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So I think I said that completely wrong, but y'all read between those lines.
I think I was, when you said it, I'm like, oh, I like that. So you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. Meaning that's a perfect example. Like those two ugly guys that were mean to you at the door or whatnot. It doesn't matter what, you could have walked up there with, $1 million in cash. They'd have still been ugly. And then with the right person, sometimes guys, my first sale ever was a lady. I was struggling. I got told no at my first 10 doors, my first day in the field. Second day I go out there in the field, second or third day, I'm like 0 for 10 at the door. I go to knock on the door and the lady's just like, come on in. Didn't even ask who I was. Right. And that's how you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. $95 app. Didn't even ask who I was at the door. So I love that phrase.
Yeah, it's just very true. Very true. You just trying to find the right people. When I first started, my coach, I guess what got me going, she goes there. We were walking through a pretty low lying area, but she pointed to the doors and she said, "There's $1,000 behind each one of those doors. You just have to find it."
Yep. That's
So.
the key there. No, I love that. Love that tip, Christy. Thanks for sharing that. Becca, what about you? What's a closing tip? If an agent wants to become like Becca, what do they got to do?
I think mastering the basics. It's really hard to understand insurance 201 whenever you're still needing that foundation of insurance 101. So make sure that you're mastering the door approach, mastering the presentation, mastering your mindset. I think the two hardest things about what we do is the mindset and activity. So mindset, making sure your mind's good, but also making sure you're talking to enough people. I think those are the two hardest things about what we do, no matter if you've been here for a while or if you've been here, a week. I think those are still two hardest things. So once you're mastering that, mastering the basics, then building onto it and growing, and eventually, I think that'll help.
For sure. Love that. Got to get good at the basics before you can run, so awesome job, guys. Well, hey, really appreciate you both for jumping on here, sharing about your big day and sharing those tips. Super proud of you guys for all the momentum that you have. And guys, that's all we got for you today. Be on the lookout for your production numbers to be coming your way today, and we will go over them and the leaderboard on Monday's call. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thanks, Christy. Thanks, Becca.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Y'all have a great day. Go crush it.